custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards in Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
Is this thing on, James? Oh, yes, it is. You guys, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Chef Ross Robinson. How you doing, Chef?
I'm doing a lot better than this weekend.
And we also have James Fife back there on the ones and twos. James, my man, how was your weekend? How are you doing?
I enjoyed the wetness that was the weekend.
Yeah,
lots of rain. Needed it, however, because, I got things trying to grow out there. So the rain was kind of nice, but also kept me from doing those, afternoon wifely projects that, come around every week that I didn't get to. So, hey, built up for another weekend.
Hey, there you go. And Mother's Day was yesterday as well. So hopefully all of you mothers out there had a wonderful afternoon. I did not spend my time with my mom. She's over there in Jacksonville. I think I'm going to be able to see her this weekend as one of my cousins, my mom's niece, Jara, is going to be graduating from Mosley. I believe their graduation is this weekend. If not, it's going to be the next weekend, and then I'll see her the next weekend. But I did get to spend some time with my buddy Terry Ross and Caveman Rick, and it was a delightful Sunday morning over there at First Baptist Church. And yeah, here we are in a beautiful, humidity rising, no doubt about that, but still a beautiful Monday afternoon right here in Panama City Beach. We're live and local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can go to cbcconstruction.com if you're looking for a job, because they are looking for a few good men. You can also give them a call at 850-747-3815 for all your construction needs. We're going to have Coach Haddad coming up here in a few minutes. He is live from Las Vegas. And throughout the show today, I guess we're going to have to, give him a text and let him know what bet he's going to have to make. But I put out a Facebook post that did not get a lot of play about Chef Haddad. Coach Haddad over there in Las Vegas, and he wants to make a bet live from a sports book, and he's looking for bets to come from you guys. So if you want to chime in, 850-215-6290, send us a text of what sports bet Coach Brian Haddad should make live from Las Vegas. We are back with RJ Starcevic this Monday afternoon, which Chris did a great job filling in for him. In fact, such a good job that he's going to be talking baseball with us moving forward on Fridays. But RJ Starcevic back talking NASCAR this afternoon at 4:20. Then at 5 o'clock to start hour number 2, we'll have Steve Barnes on the line with us, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. And at 5:20, per usual on Monday afternoons, it's time for the takeover. That is the PCB Hobby Takeover. Then we'll finish off with some local news, best and worst of the weekend, and then I have some prop bets from the MLB, the NHL, and the NBA playoffs. All right, well, let's dive into it. Let's go straight over there to Las Vegas. Also, don't forget, real quick, before we go to Las Vegas, let's backtrack a little bit. The call-in question of the day. Listeners, I need y'all on this one. I need y'all big time on this one, especially if you've been in Panama City for a while. The call-in question of the day. If you had to build a local Mount Rushmore of Panama City athletes, who's on it? More from me, more than likely at 4:40, because I do want to give Coach Haddad his allotment of time that he paid for with his hard-earned money. But if you had to build a local Mount Rushmore Panama City athletes, who's on it? Tell me about it at 850-215-6290. I actually have 3 different lists. I've got a statistical Mount Rushmore. I've got a watching or experiencing, meaning playing against them or just watching them as athletes. And then I have honorable mentions, which are essentially current athletes playing high school sports here in Bay County. Coach Brian Haddad, live from the Strip in Las Vegas. Actually, tell us, where are you in Las Vegas right now, Coach?
I am coming to you live from the Cosmopolitan Hotel and Casino in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada.
How has Lady Luck been treating you to this point?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I have more money than when I got here, but I don't have as much as I had last night. So
so it's going exactly how Las Vegas should do at its best, right? Because at its worst, you would have absolutely nothing right now. Do you got a topic for, or maybe not a topic, but a Mount Rushmore of the top 4 Panama City athletes, maybe athletes that you've coached on the swim team or just that you've been able to watch? Who would be on your Mount Rushmore, Coach?
Well, I would want to put Glenn Manley on there just because he's older than Mount Rushmore itself.
I heard he helped engineer that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna put one swimmer on there because that's the one area where I probably have a wide enough knowledge base. Michael Duderstadt graduated from Mosley. He was a state champ and then went on to be a Southeastern Conference champion at Auburn and was an NCAA finalist, top 8 at the NCAA championship. So I think he's probably the best swimmer to ever come out of our area. We've had a lot of good ones, but to be an SEC champion was special. If you're asking other athletes, I mean, I haven't been around long enough. The 2 names I always hear, and I'm sure will come up from your listeners, are Burt Reed and Mac Pittman. Those are the 2 athletes I always hear about. I mean, you can throw Eddie Williams in there as well, but those guys, based on people that I know in the area and they talk about their athletic prowess, they certainly make the list.
Yeah, there you go. I actually played Little League Baseball for All-Star team with Burt Reed. That was he is fast as lightning. There's no doubt about that. I was really hopeful for his NFL career, but we know how hard it is to make it in the league. He was a great athlete across the board, though, Burt Reed was. Excited to get into some more lists. Again, text your Mount Rushmore Panama City athletes at 850-215-6290. What was your best and worst of the weekend, Coach?
Well, they both revolve around SEC baseball. That's probably no surprise for people who listen. My best of the weekend, my Mississippi State Bulldogs are 6-1 since moving on from Coach Chris Lamonis. But more importantly, they just completed a series victory, 2-1 over those darn Rebels from up the state there in Oxford. So got Ole Miss this weekend in front of huge crowds in Starkville. State now has a game, I believe, with North Alabama tomorrow and then a series with Missouri. But they actually look in decent shape to make a regional, which was not something we were looking at a while back. The worst, Texas A&M, preseason #1 in the nation, just got swept by Missouri, who had previously gone 0-21 in the SEC.
Baseball?
Brutal. Yes.
That's not going to make Morgan happy.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I just thought of. Like, I know that this was supposed to be a walk in the park series for him, and that was the opposite of a walk in the park. That was a walk out of the park.
Didn't just lose one game, got swept. It's bad in Aggie land.
Wow.
And they probably played themselves out of a regional now. So
yeah,
something else.
And then on the flip side of that, in the world of softball, Texas A&M and Oklahoma co-champions for the SEC. That's something I've never seen before, but obviously that was due to the weather delay that they were dealing with. And then Clemson over Florida State, that was a little surprising as well, because when I was watching, it looked like FSU was firmly in control of that game. All right, we'll dive into some bets as they come along. Looking for bets for Coach Haddad to make live there in Las Vegas. Text them in to us at 850-215-6290.
Hey, Coach, I just got an email that Vegas Golden Knights playoff tickets are on sale now.
Very good. I'm actually looking at it. You know, they got the last-second victory, which means they're going to have Game 5 here tomorrow night, apparently. So I'm going to try and get in, and I'll give you guys a report if I'm able to go.
Yeah, that was my question, or one of my questions was going to be, how long are you going to be there in Vegas? Because that game is, tomorrow night, right?
Yes, I leave Wednesday morning, so that would be a nice send-off. Plus, it would keep me off the tables for a few hours, which is probably going to be a good thing.
Yeah, you'd be out of the casino and into the stadium, betting in the stadium.
Vegas game is Wednesday.
That's what I was about to. It is Wednesday, so.
Oh, okay. See, originally I had looked at it and I thought it was going to be Tuesday, which seemed odd. So, well, I can't do that.
Well, you could just make them play tonight then, right? Go find somebody with an Xbox and say, simulate this game for me.
That's a shame, too, because the stadium's like literally a 5-minute walk from me.
Wow, man. It's been a great time so far to this point, but Saturday, we woke up to some news. Well, not woke up to, but got some news early on in the morning. Derek Carr is retiring from the NFL. What do you think of him retiring at somewhat of an early age? And then what do the Saints end up doing at quarterback? Do they go with Shuck? Do they go with Haener? Or do they go with Spencer Rattler?
Well, I kind of lost you there, but then I picked it up there, Derek Carr retiring.
Yeah.
And, boy, you just gave 3 interesting options.
Interesting's a nice way to put it.
I mean, Shuck's like a 38-year-old rookie or whatever he is, and Haener hasn't played a ton. Rattler showed some signs last year. I mean, to me, I'd probably go with Rattler. He's probably got the most on-field experience there, and then see how it shakes out. I mean, I know they like Shuck, but, you know, I mean, short of that, there's not really anybody who's sitting out there unless you could do something with Cousins, but that's in division, so I doubt that's going to happen. So my guess is they probably go Rattler to start, and then we'll see how it plays out.
Could this also be the reason Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed yet?
I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to New Orleans.
I think I'm with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers goes to New Orleans, and I think that they knew what was going on prior to the draft, which is a little surprising that they just stuck with Shuck and didn't try to get someone else out of the ordeal if they knew that, you know, Derek Carr was going to be retiring. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, you have the year-in and year-out success from Coach Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, so that's a pro there. But then you have a great offensive mind in Kellen Moore over there at New Orleans. So I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, you would have to at least think about the prospect of joining the New Orleans Saints.
I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers is looking for a team that has a shot to get him to the playoffs this year. I think Aaron Rodgers is very much looking at this as this year and maybe next, and that's it. So,
are you saying that you don't think that Aaron Rodgers can take the lowly New Orleans Saints and turn them into a playoff team here in 2025?
Yeah, I don't think Tom Brady would take them to a playoff team in 2025. I think Aaron Rodgers doing one of two things. I think the most likely is he's going to end up with the Steelers. But there is a chance he could play the gamble game and just literally just sit out, stay in shape, and wait for somebody to get injured about halfway through the season and just pick up with a with a contending team there, because we know it happens every year. I could see that happening too, but I think it's more likely he goes to Pittsburgh.
Well, we know what game will be opening up the 2025 NFL season. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got Coach Brian Haddad live on the line with us, live from Las Vegas. But it's going to be the Eagles and the Cowboys. Is this a bad way to start the season for the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be underneath the new coach, Dak Prescott, coming off of injury, and they didn't really do a ton in the draft? Is this a bad way for the Cowboys to start the season in such a they're already a franchise that, you know, gets views, right? And now they're possibly going to be playing the Super Bowl defending champion, but they could be getting embarrassed to start the season. Now, what do you think about that?
Theoretically and on paper, that sounds right, but I'll tell you one of two things. Number one, the Cowboys have nothing to lose. They've got some new pieces, obviously, with Pickens and some different wrinkles they can throw, new coach. So, you know, who knows how that plays out. So there's some unknown there versus in the past. Secondly, defending Super Bowl champions typically have not fared terribly well week one. I know we, you know, saw kind of Kansas City kind of doing their thing early in the season, but they were just, you know, inching by. So a lot of them have not started out terribly well. So it might be a good chance for the Cowboys to kind of get after the Eagles week one. Now, on paper, they don't match up, but, you know, we know that's an old-time rivalry, and the Cowboys are going to be a little bit less predictable with their changes to the Eagles than maybe what they would have been if, you know, you still had the same gang back together. So it's a decent opportunity for them. You will just have to see how it plays out.
Will Aaron Judge finish the season over 400?
No. And I wish he would, but I'm just going to play I'm in Vegas. I'm going to play the odds here. I'm amazed he's done what he's done. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what he's doing. We all expect him to hit home runs and drive in, you know, runs, but to hit with the average, he's been leading the league in average by 50, 60, 70 points most of the year. The amount of hits he has, it's been incredible. But no, I don't think so. I think that I think he's probably going to settle in the 330, 340 range when all's said and done. You know, which is a fantastic year. If you'd have told me that before the year, I'd have jumped up and down with it.
Yeah.
But now hitting 400 is just, golly, I just don't know if we're ever going to see that again.
Well, he's currently, this might be the bet that you need to make. He is currently plus 10,000 to hit 400 for the season, which I guess this is exclusively on ESPN Bet. But plus 10,000 to hit 400 for the season, a little bit more manageable. Plus 1,100 to be at 400 when the All-Star break rolls around on July 14th. Do you think that he can make it to the All-Star break hitting over 400? He's at 409 right now.
I would say no, just because he's been inching back closer. He's probably going to be 370, 380 around the break. But, you know, I mean, that plus 10,000, you know, I drop 100 down. You know, 10,000 be worth it to fly back out here. So maybe I could drop that bet tonight.
There you go. The last player to hit 400 through 96 games was Larry Walker for the Colorado Rockies, who did that in 1997. To the WWE, they just had a what are they called now? PLE, premium.
Premium live event.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
it is PLE. They had Backlash. Tell us some of your thoughts and takeaways from the latest PLE from the WWE.
Well, unfortunately, I was at a wedding out in Arizona during it, so I'm not yet brazen enough to watch a wedding or watch a wrestling event during a wedding. I'm not that tough. The bride would have killed me, but I am aware of what's gone on, and they actually put a really solid card together. They did a good job of having a little bit of something for everybody. All 5 matches were excellent. The one female match that was on the card probably stole the show in Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Bit of a surprising finish with Lyra going over, but but they really told an excellent story. The John Cena-Randy Orton match was full of a lot of interference and different things, and then R-Truth got involved and saved John Cena, which that's been a running joke for years that John Cena is R-Truth's childhood hero. I think they're about 2 years apart in age, but and then Cena attacked R-Truth after the event to cement his bad guy status, but no, Jacob Fatu held on to his title. Dominic Mysterio held on to his. I mean, I thought they put a really good card together, had a lot of great matches, and told some good stories, which is hard to do because they were only 3 weeks out of WrestleMania, so it's hard to get a build.
I thought it was a better card or a better performance than WrestleMania was.
Oh, surely a better performance. There's no doubt of that. I mean, the stories were weaker, but that's to be expected. But yeah, I thought the guys really wrestled well.
Wright State Chris wants to know, do you have any thoughts, Coach, on the passing of ECW legend Sabu?
Yeah, so I was the perfect age, really, to be into ECW. I was kind of, college age when it was really taking off. And we watched it, it was fantastic. And most of what we watched was Sabu versus Taz or Sabu versus Rob Van Dam. And it was crazy what those guys did. And, they put their body through it. Ironically, Sabu just had his retirement match, I think, maybe 2 months ago, and it was extremely violent, and he was 60. I don't know cause of death, but he seemed just a fun person, He really enjoyed what he did. He definitely gave his all for the fans, probably too much so, but yeah, it's sad. He was quite the character and was really entertaining to watch.
And then finally, which direction?
I got a bet.
Okay, go ahead.
So, looking at the odds right now, what are the odds of Giannis and San Antonio next year?
Yeah, I was just reading up on that. Apparently, San Antonio has some capability to maybe make this work. I would imagine he wants to go to somebody he could see contending, and I don't think San Antonio's that far away.
Yeah, they have two-time Rookie of the Years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to depend on, kind of what the deal is, because, the NBA is so kind of restrictive with draft picks and cap and things that what they can do. But, yeah, they were one of the teams that it seemed most likely had a decent shot to put together a package to get in there. That would be one that I could see him doing. Like, I don't see him going to New Orleans or, something like that. But, who knows? San Antonio could be interesting.
Have you looked on the sports books?
I'm more curious. Go ahead.
Have you looked at the sports books on who the odds-on favorites are? I think it's San Antonio and Houston are two of them.
I know Houston's up there. I was just reading the story on ESPN.com right before we got on. But I'm headed down to the sports book here in a little bit. I'll see if I can't find that out.
All right. Ohio Brad says the Browns owners are part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then we'll rattle off some rapid fire to you, Coach, here, and then we'll let you get back to being a true degenerate. The NBA series, we're just going to rattle through these real quick. Series tied at 2. Who ends up winning it, Thunder or the Nuggets?
I think the Thunder pull it out, but the Nuggets have really made them work for it. I would honestly, I think the Thunder take the next 2 and take it in 6.
Ooh, I like that. I'm disagreeing, though. I think I have the Nuggets finding a way to win that series. Staying out west, Timberwolves and the Warriors. Minnesota owns a 2-1 series lead there.
I think this is what I had said before. I liked the Warriors getting to this point because of their experience, and then they were going to wear out. Mm-hmm. I think they've worn out. I think the T-Wolves run off the next 2 and win 4-1. Get the gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, if you're missing one of the best players in the league, that is definitely a sign of wearing out. The Pacers lead the Cavaliers right now, 3-1. Who ends up winning that series, and how many games do you think that one goes?
Well, there's supposedly reports that Donovan Mitchell may not go tonight or
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. If that's the case, you got to like the Pacers closing this thing out. This has been surprising, but Pacers look like they're kind of together and firing on all cylinders. So Give me the Pacers to close this one out tomorrow.
That could be a curse in disguise, though, because the Knicks and Celtics are going to go forever, so Pacers aren't going to play for a good week and a half.
That's right.
And then that's the one that we will leave off with here. Knicks and the Celtics. Knicks own a 2-1 series lead there, and they're playing tonight at 6:30. What do you got?
I'm with Ross. I think this one's going the distance. I like the Celtics taking tonight and then also taking this whole series in 7. This may be the best series of the entire playoffs, though. This is going to be something to watch.
Yeah, I think that the Thunder and Nuggets could be up there with the best series out there, but Celtics and Knicks, especially with the Knicks winning those first 2 games, I think elevated the intrigue to a level that we cannot ascertain. Hey, Coach, thanks so much. Oh, James?
While you're there, Brian, I just got to let you know. Make sure that you hedge your bets and make sure you diversify your bets. So go down to that book and make sure that you put a couple $100 down on the Rockies to win.
I don't know, just light it on fire. At least it'll be warm.
Hey, there you go. Also, you could put a $100 bet on the Afternoon Underdogs to end at 557.50 today. 100% guarantee that'll be happening. Coach Haddad, enjoy the rest of your time in Vegas, and we'll see you next Monday.
5 on black.
All right, buddy.
5 on black. Let it ride. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're going to be taking some left turns with RJ Starsvik. Talking a little NASCAR, y'all.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, sunny and a temperature of 77 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. A mixture of very light rain and mostly clear skies tonight, a gentle breeze and warm near 72. Mostly sunny and lightly sprinkling and 78 tomorrow. 81 and sunshine with a gentle breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
It's been an up and down start for the 2025 Atlanta Braves, which means every win counts more than ever.
Michael swings and hits one way up in the air, streaking out of the ballpark as the kid strikes again.
Tonight, the Braves are back in town, and Truist Park comes alive for an NL East showdown with the Washington Nationals, live from Atlanta.
Braves coverage begins at 6, first pitch 6:15. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. It's real, and it starts now. Back to the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, and we are Braves country. Tonight, after the Afternoon Underdogs Coverage starts for the Atlanta Braves at 6 o'clock, taking on the Nationals for a 4-game series. First pitch tonight at 6:15. It will be Jake Irvin going for the Nationals, 2-1 with an ERA of 3.94, going up against Grant Holmes, who is 2-3 with an ERA of 4.58. Atlanta Braves right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, starting right after the Afternoon Underdogs. Our next guest is RJ Starcevic. He is the creator of the Instagram page Motor Stardom, does a great job, and it's our first time having him on in about 3 weeks. RJ, what's been going on, my friend?
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be back. Pleasure to hear you guys again. I've been over in Texas on as my other gig, Chick-fil-A on a corporate assignment, which was really funny. I got to go to the Texas Motor Speedway race weekend.
Two birds with one stone, baby.
What was that?
I said 2 birds with 1 stone, baby.
Exactly. Those are my 2 lives coming together right there, at least at that moment. So that was a fun time. But yeah, it was fun down there. It's been a crazy last few weeks in sports, as you guys are talking about. Basketball's going on. The playoffs are heating up. Not going to talk about my Saints draft because that wasn't great when I heard about that. But as well as NASCAR still, heating up as we get towards the summer months here. Very excited. But good to be back in Florida. It's humid here. Forgot how hot and humid it is down here compared to some other places. But we're back, and I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, great to have you back. Chris Gollin did a great job filling in for you, no doubt about that. It's a little bit of a different week for us this week, being that the next week's race is a non-points race, but still a great race for the NASCAR All-Star race. But let's start it off with our usual question for you on a Monday. What is your best, or what was your best and worst of the race from Kansas?
Yeah, best from Kansas, I'd say just getting on the track where we can run multiple grooves. Texas the previous weekend obviously has just a few grooves you can run, really the bottom and the middle, and the top is non-existent. But you get to Kansas and the drivers, especially with the car we have now, it's such a breath, a fresh breath of air when you can run from anywhere from top to bottom. So that was a lot of fun seeing the restart, seeing the racing this past weekend. And then I'd say the worst is, man, another Kyle Busch heartbreak. It was really unfortunate for all the, whether old or young, Kyle Busch fans are hoping that he pulls through, gets a race win. He wrecked at Texas, running literally in the 3rd position. Was doing pretty well at Kansas, and then unfortunately just gets slammed and wrecked on the back straightaway. So the push continues for him to finally get back in victory lane, and we'll see if it happens here eventually.
Which is wild because of all of the laps that Kyle Larson not only led yesterday, but this year he's now 3rd all-time in NASCAR current drivers of laps led. But that list is led by Kyle Busch, who has 2,000 more laps led than Denny Hamlin, who's got about 15,000. So that is wild, and I know the Busch fans are out there yearning for a Kyle Busch win. Give us a recap of what went down at the Advent Health 400 in Kansas.
Yeah, it was a complete Kyle Larson butt whipping, you could say, as he was able to take stage 1, stage 2, and the race win. He had some guys that were able to kind of fight with him throughout the race. Chase Elliott was able to finally get ahead of him on a pit stop and take the lead, but it just did not last that long at all. And it was a race that really the guys that were at the front stayed there. I mean, Chase Elliott finished 2nd in stage 1 and stage 2. Christopher Bell was top 5 in both stages. Ryan Blaney was top 5 in both stages, and they both ended up finishing in the top 3. Chase Elliott, unfortunately, had an issue on pit road, sent him all the way back to 15th, and they were unable to really truly recover from that, which stinks because they had such a great car and were really the only ones that could give Kyle Larson a run for his money. But ended up getting some cautions there at the end, and Kyle Larson didn't have the greatest long-run car. He would fade off sometimes towards the end of those runs, but there just wasn't enough laps there at the end for anybody to truly get to him, and Kyle Larson was the one to win the race, win both stages, profit so many points out of the day that he is now your official full standings points leader at NASCAR, overtaking William Byron for the first time in a handful of weeks.
Yeah, Kyle Larson and that Hendrick team in general, they look like men on a mission right now. How did tire management and pit strategy impact the outcome of the race yesterday?
I think that was really one of the key factors that was able to ensure that Kyle Larson was still able to win the race, because we've seen in times past where Kyle Larson, maybe, he dominates that short run, dominates that middle run, and then he gets to that long run, and those tires start cording a little bit, and you see the guys behind him start to creep up on him. So there were a few cautions that piled up there toward the end of that final stage, and I think if they don't happen, you see a guy like Christopher Bell or Ryan Blaney be able to make their way up there. Ryan Blaney is always just, and famously this year, been probably one of the best, if not the best on the long runs, and obviously he finished third place, just a little bit back of the leaders. So I think those short runs and long runs really benefit. Those long runs really benefit guys like Ryan Blaney, as well as Christopher Bell as well. But Kyle Larson, like I said, just there wasn't enough laps for them to get it done by him. But it certainly makes a difference on a track that wears the tires like Kansas. We talk about tracks like Bristol and Darlington all the time like that. But Kansas, the surface is aging. The tires are wearing a lot faster. So there's really a big difference between those short and long runs compared to other racetracks.
Awesome. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with our guy, RJ Starcevic. He is the creator of the page on Instagram known as Motor Stardom. Go give that page a follow, and you will be in the midst of a lot of great NASCAR fans. And then also you'll be seeing content from RJ Starcevic, who does a great job creating content. Give me a driver who had high expectations but ended up with a disappointing finish.
I got to go with Bubba Wallace, who is really been good at Kansas. Really, 23XI Racing as a whole had a disappointing day yesterday, but Bubba Wallace especially has been notably very good at Kansas, and they just, unfortunately, at the beginning, they didn't have too much of the pace to really get up there and contend, and then they fell into some pit road issues, and then once you get in the back, it's a melee from there in stage 3, and so unfortunately they got caught up in an incident and they were just never able to come back from it. So finishing in the 33rd position, wrecked out of the race, but certainly expected it to be a little bit better to where they wouldn't be in the back getting caught in those messes.
And on the flip side of that, RJ, give me a driver who had low expectations but ended up on a Sunday or on that Sunday with an impressive finish. Sorry about the the trouble getting that one out there, RJ.
Yeah, no worries. And I would give that not necessarily low expectations, but maybe no expectations at all. Chase Briscoe has been very quiet to start out this year. They haven't really done much, and they've kind of said, hey, we can start getting some top 10s here. We can start being happy with our days. And, they end up getting a 4th place finish, ran really well at the end of that race there at Kansas, and that's a big, big improvement for them. And then just a quick little shout-out as well to Corey Heim. Known him for a long time, so obviously personally very happy for him, but made his first Cup start of the season and got 13th for 23XI Racing. So he's a young star that, we talk about young guys on this show a lot. Connor Zillich. I know we talk about hometown boy Jake Finch. Corey Heim's going to be another guy that we're going to be watching here in the future, and he's going to make a name for himself in the Cup Series. Give it a few years.
And I believe Chris Gollin last week, we were trying to, ask questions about NASCAR, but also learn about Chris along the way. I believe he said that his favorite driver is Brad Keselowski, who had a tough day yesterday. Give us a little insight on the day that Brad Keselowski had.
Yeah, rough day for Brad Keselowski, and certainly rough day for Chris Gollin. It's been a rough year for Brad Keselowski fans around the world, because Brad Keselowski is sitting 33rd in points right now. So they were able to, look, in the NASCAR format we have today, whether, whatever side you're on, that's another conversation for a different time. But a guy like Brad Keselowski sitting below 30th in points, goes down. He's running second yesterday. He's running, gets by Chase Elliott, gets by Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell, and he's running right behind Kyle Larson, one spot away from winning the race and changing your whole season. And they cut a tire and smacked the turn 1 and 2 wall. Just something that, it just happens. It's the nature of the beast, but it can't happen when you're in that spot. So, you go from one spot away from changing your season. You go from 30th to wherever it would be now, 7th in points, right? If you get that win, guaranteed spot in the playoffs. They cut a tire, smacked the wall. So obviously we talk about the heartbreak for Kyle Busch fans and how long it's been since he's won. The season in general has been rough for Brad Keselowski, to the point where if they keep this up, obviously going into the summer months, they're going to need a win, which is totally possible. It's Brad Keselowski. It's RFK. We know they can bring good stuff, but damn, rough day for him, rough day for Brad K fans. They finished 37th out of a day that looked like it could have been a top 3.
How did the timing of cautions affect team strategies? Did anyone gain or lose big because of said strategies?
Yeah, I'd say, honestly, I think the biggest beneficiary of those little later cautions is going to be the guy that was able to win that race, Kyle Larson. Now, obviously, kind of like we talked about earlier, it's a different beast catching up to somebody and then passing him, right, with all the aero business that goes on today. You know, if Christopher Bell or Ryan Blaney would have gotten there, who knows if they complete the pass, that's a different beast. But I still think it certainly helped Kyle Larson not be able to have to save as much. Like, hey, you can just go out, hammer down, just take the lead, build as big of a gap as you can. There's not enough laps for them to catch you because we were worried. There was some cordon coming off the tire there on that last lap where he just dropped like a whole second to Christopher Bell. So you never know. I mean, give it 2 or 3 laps. Who knows what would have happened, but that's racing at the end of the day, and I think drivers like him, as well as Ryan Preece, also kind of had an up-and-down day. He was able to kind of be a beneficiary of those late cautions as well, finishing in the 7th position. And obviously those cautions as well take out some cars, unfortunately, and so some guys in the back were able to pick up a few more spots and make a better day out of what it could have been if the entire day went green.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting with RJ Starcevic, creator of the Motor Stardom page. You can go find that on Instagram. Did any teams, or actually, was there any bold calls on fuel or tires that ended up being game changers?
Yeah, there wasn't really anything totally out of the blue, especially in those final yellows. Everybody kind of came down at once. There wasn't like with the tire wear we see on this racetrack, you're going to see less of 2 tire calls or no tire cars. Like we did see at Texas last weekend, you saw a lot of 2 tires, no tires, and they were able to hold their ground because of how much of a track position racetrack it is. But you don't see it as much as Kansas because there's so many lanes to pass. You can't really stay in front of the field like that. You're going to get freight trained no matter what, especially on these restarts. So I would say that, I mean, the cautions certainly helped. The placement of cautions helped certain drivers, hurt certain drivers. But, you know, as far as pit road, there were no crazy strategies. I'd say as far as teams that really have their foot on the gas on pit road lately is Toyota as a whole. I believe Toyota, I haven't seen the stats after this race, but I believe Toyota holds 3 of the top spots for pit road times. They've been on it this year. Jacobs Racing in particular always is on it with their pit crew. So they've been fantastic. They keep nailing it. Obviously, Hendrick Motorsports as well. We know the work that gets put into both of those crews. They have been absolutely fantastic this year, but we'll certainly see what goes on here in the coming weeks, especially when we have a 600-mile race coming up in 2 weeks. There's going to be a lot of pit stops in that race, so every single pit stop is going to matter in a 600-mile race at Charlotte. But we still got a few weeks until that one.
Well, did any teams show a noticeable improvement with their pit crew and execution compared to earlier in the season?
Yeah, I think compared to earlier in the season, I think I saw there were a few hiccups more from Jacobs Racing that we didn't expect maybe. I mean, hiccups and then recoveries, right? We talked about earlier weeks ago on the show where, you know, the issue with the 20 car and stopping in the teammate's box and talking about how we'd never seen that before. But it was certainly issues, lost tires, things like that were happening in the Toyota group that you normally typically don't expect. But now that those teams have been on it, Bubba Wallace especially, I remember famously their pit crew would always struggle years ago, and now they're one of the top 5 in pit road times this year. So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. I mean, these pit stops matter. Yes, there's a lot of cautions, but when we do get those green flag stops, I mean, that's what matters most, is being able to just get in and out, especially with how quick the pit stops are now. So I'd say, honestly, the biggest improvement would be Toyota, but honestly, that's what I expect. I expect them to be the top of the podium, and we'll see who's able to catch up.
Is Kansas beginning to shape the championship picture, or after Kansas, we're starting to see that picture take form, or is it still too early to tell?
I think as far as the picture, I think the summer months really determine that. But I think as far as the favorites, I think we certainly have gotten to a point where we can get the group of the favorites for a championship in there, in which I think, you know, we have our solidified big 3, in my opinion, being Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and William Byron. Those guys have won the most races this year. They've run up front at every single track, it seems like, this year. I think those are the 3 guys to watch for the championship. But, again, this is NASCAR. It is a long year. I think the summer months really determine the whole picture of that, because we could see some guys fall off. We could see some guys get to, you know, July, August, and just start to really, really fade. We've seen it in years past. Or we can see, just like you know, I'm sure Coach Brian always knows, those Penske cars, especially Joey Logano, They lay back all the way. We get to about July, August, even June. All of a sudden, they start winning out of nowhere, and they're champions in November. So I'd say the picture as a whole, with how the format and the racing is now, we just got to pump the brakes on it a little bit, but we certainly have our little group of favorites we can kind of solidify right now.
Yeah, Coach Brian Haddad switched places with you. He's out west right now in Las Vegas. We'll have him back with us Monday.
I was going to tell Chris a message. I know last week you guys had to talk about. Was he in the studio last week to talk about Joey Logano's win? I was going to say I'm sorry.
It was also, too, because Chris picked up on the hatred that Coach Brian Haddad has for Joey Logano as well. We're kind of at the halfway point of the NASCAR season as far as the All-Star race goes. So give us 3 drivers that maybe we could wager on, top 3 drivers for the All-Star race in North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, for North Wilkesboro, I certainly got to put Kyle Larson there at the top. I mean, he absolutely destroyed the field last year in the All-Star race with everything going on at IndyCar, because that's what begins starting this week. He's going to be at Indianapolis, going back and forth, doing the double again in a few weeks. I still look at him as the favorite. Joey Logano won the initial race there, and they're starting to be a lot faster now. Obviously, just won at Texas, gets himself a top 10 at Kansas, was running up front. I think he would be second in there. And then somebody like Alex Bowman. Bowman had a race in the Open just a year ago, but he has certainly been notably fast as of late, was good at Kansas, and I think he's gritty at those short tracks where I think he could be that surprise guy to at least be in that top 5, but maybe even contend for a win if cautions do fall his way.
And then let's wrap it up with something that we haven't had from you in a few weeks. Give us your top 5 drivers currently in the sport right now. Give us RJ's high-powered rankings.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but we're looking at Kyle Larson sitting there number 1, absolutely dominating the field. No signs tell me that he's going to drop anytime soon, but he'll be at that number 1 spot. Christopher Bell, still incredibly consistent, obviously just finished second to Kyle Larson. He's done that a few times already this year. I think he still sits there in that second position. Ryan Blaney's been really good on long runs. That win is coming. He's going to get there. Certainly going to come in these summer months. He's still sitting there third. William Byron, they had a really fast car at Kansas. Unfortunately, had a flat tire and some pit road issues, so they were able to unfortunately fell through to the back of the field there. And then it was a tight 5. I didn't know who to go with here. I ended up putting Joey Logano in there at 5th. Like I said, they've been carrying a lot of momentum lately. We're talking about power rankings, momentum. Joey Logano, I got there in the 5. It was the battle between him and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, I got him at the 6. But I know they're still fast. They're still really fast. But, man, these mechanical issues are absolutely killing them. I mean, they was on fire at Texas, sliding around. And then, obviously, yesterday, not very fun with the shifting issues that they had. No clutch on the race car. So it hasn't been a good few weeks for that progressive car. But I'm sure he'll be back in victory lane soon enough.
My goodness, great. That was all that was right there with you taking Joey Logano over Denny Hamlin was clickbait to tick me or Coach Haddad off right there. But luckily, Coach Haddad's not in the studio, and I can't be mad at one of the best reporters or people who cover the sport of NASCAR. RJ, so great to have you back on with us, and thanks for having Chris fill in during your absence there. And glad you got to go out there to Texas and see a different way of life, earn a little bit of money, and also go to Texas Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you guys. What a burger and In-N-Out and all that stuff is a good time, got to say. I'll certainly be back Texas some point in my life, but Florida's the home, so good to be back, and thank you guys as always.
Hey, there you go. RJ Starsvik, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get over there to Instagram and follow his page, Motor Stardom. It's great stuff, great content, and he also has a couple of great a great podcast, and he's got a great staff, because Chris Gollin, part of his staff. I believe he's the editor over there. You're right with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll revisit the call-in question. We'll dive into trivia. We've got a whole lot of stuff going on right here on the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
Yeah, who doesn't, go out and shoot 4 straight rounds of 61, 63, 66, 63? That's the way I normally play when I'm playing Tiger Woods on the old Xbox. But it was really impressive. And Scheffler is such an underrated competitor.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, sunny and a temperature of 77 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. A mixture of very light rain and mostly clear skies tonight, a gentle breeze and warm near 72. Mostly sunny and lightly sprinkling and 78 tomorrow. 81 and sunshine with a gentle breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Now in stock at Tommy Autos.
2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee Altitude. Luxury at a value price. $13,995 or a 2017 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport with one owner. Sporty and affordable. $11,995 at Tommy Autos.
Buy here, pay here. Financing options available. Everyone is approved. Tommy Autos, 2209 West 15th Street, Panama City. Call 850-960-8664. For the latest deals and specials, follow Tommy Autos on Facebook at Tag Tax and Title. Pier Park, get ready to shake things up. Paradise Nutrition is now open. Craving flavor and fitness? We've got you covered. Loaded teas, protein-packed shakes, gourmet coffees, and refreshing drinks. From our signature Jimmy Buffett tea to Reese's Shake, Paradise Nutrition has over 600 flavor combos. Need energy? Appetite control? We've got add-ons like boba, biotin, collagen, and probiotics. Plus, try our donut whole shot appetite suppressant. Paradise Nutrition, Pier Park, next to Target.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're live and local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can go to cbcconstruction.com, especially if you're looking for a job. You can also give them a call at 850-747-3815. I'm David Hayes along with Chef Ross Robinson and James Fife. We're having a great Monday afternoon here in the CBC Construction Studios. I want to remind you guys, coming up here on June 14th, about the 4th annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. And Chef Ross is going to be doing all of the cooking and all of that great stuff. It'll be at the Break Room, June 14th from 12 to 6 p.m. What are some of the things that we can expect from this event, or look forward to, rather, at this event, the 4th annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue?
So I'm going to be doing a whole hog barbecue, which means the only option is a pulled pork, but it's coming from all over the pig.
Okay, so are you going to actually have the pig on sticks and roasting over an open fire?
No, I'm going to do it in my smoker.
Okay, so you can't see the pig? Are you going to put an apple in his mouth?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And
as long as you have an apple in his mouth, I'm cool, because I've never seen it in real life. I've never been I've never been to a whole pig cookout in person. Boston Tim was supposed to do that for us last year. You were supposed to cook it up, right?
He did end up cooking.
Oh, he did end up? Did he do the whole hog, though?
Yeah, he had some good baby pigs that he got in his oven.
Oh, baby pigs. That's great.
Sorry. Technical term, suckling pigs.
Suckling, so even smaller than baby pigs. Oh, man. Well, I guess I just didn't show up that day, but I want to see the
I didn't show up either. I saw pictures on Facebook. I didn't even get an invite, Boston Tim.
Whoa, man. And I mean, Boston Tim's my guy, bro. So I'm not going to allow any slander on this show, because someone was slanderizing him this last Friday, Caveman Rick, and I had to be the mediator. I'm being facetious. But yeah, 4th annual Pops Pig Pickin' Barbecue. You're going to be cooking all kind of great. Well, let me not put words in your mouth. What are you going to be cooking up there?
So we got the whole hog pulled pork barbecue. I'm still trying to decide which sides I want to do. Mac and cheese is probably on the list.
Got to.
Baked beans is on the list. Coleslaw is on the list.
Got to.
Tater salad.
Garlic bread?
Maybe.
There's got to be some sort of bread. You got to have some bread.
Yeah, there'll be Texas toast for sure.
All right, there you go, Texas toast. I'll take it.
And then
James, any ideas over here while we're coming up with a menu?
I mean, you always got to, baked beans is always one for some kind of pig pick, because you can throw some of the pig in it, throw some of the barbecue sauce in it, always tastes good. Coleslaw is a definite, man.
Yeah.
Definite.
Coleslaw and pulled pork go together
They just
well.
work so
Just
well.
mix it up. Throw some baked beans in there, some mac and cheese. You got an easy peasy bowl right there.
Yeah, after that, it's kind of personal preference. I always do some mac and cheese because, everybody loves mac and cheese. Who doesn't? Pasta, cheese, together. What's wrong?
It's Italian. All proceeds go to benefit hurricane relief. I was talking a little bit about this last week where obviously it's not we're not this is going to be for there's going to be a hurricane that hits someone at some point in time this year, so you're getting the funds ready now so that when it happens you can get the date set up and you can go out there and you can set up camp and cook, and that's what you did last year somewhere in Georgia, right?
Valdosta, Georgia.
Valdosta. I almost said Vidalia for some reason, but Valdosta.
Yep, I went up there. Terry Lim and I went up
there.
There.
Some wild adventures, wasn't it?
Through Valdosta. One of the good things about getting the money early this year is I will be able to go quicker than last year because I won't need time to fundraise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there you go. Dinner tickets are going to be $20, which is going to get you a nice to-go box full of food there. Great barbecue. If you've never had Chef Ross's cooking, you don't know what you're missing out on. At 1 p.m., there's going to be a pool tournament. That's going to be $15 to join in.
Yes, that includes the green fees and the proceeds. And we'll have prizes for the pool winners, probably some cash for the first place, maybe a T-shirt for the second place. But I'm going to make this a fun tournament so you don't I'm just going to make this a fun tournament so anybody can come and play. You don't have to be amazing. Don't be scared of the really good pool players. I'll send them somewhere else if I need to.
There you go. Maybe we can talk Bossman into supplying the T-shirt for like an ESPN Northwest Florida T-shirt for second place. And why do they call them greens fees? I don't like that. That's too close to golf. Can't call them table fees or.
Okay,
and at break room isn't the felt blue?
It is.
So blue fees then. There you go. I was like, wait, we're gonna go play. We're gonna go play golf here. So what'd you say?
No blue fees. I don't pay for umpires.
There you go. Even though we all pay for it in the long run. And all of this is why. Why do you do the Pop's Pig Pickin' Barbecue?
Everything is to honor my dad, who was an amazing man. I'm not just saying that because he's my dad, but anybody that met him knew that he would give you the shirt off of his back. He would do anything and everything for you. And this is a good way of keeping his legacy alive.
Yep, there you go, man. Pop's Pig Pickin' Barbecue. It'll be the 4th annual one. This will be on a Saturday, June 14th from 12 to 6 p.m. at the Break Room, which is located at 2727 Joan Avenue. Thank you to Pineapple Willie's, Golf Plus, Team MVP, ESPN Northwest Florida, and then, of course, the Break Room Bar and Grill and Re-Rag Sports Bar. All right, well.
And add Annie's Hideaway Pub in Lynn Haven on that list of sponsors.
Yeah, right over there off of 389, I believe. Yeah, there you go. Professor Plum says he's using some Slap Ya Mama on his Wendy's chicken wrap. I actually got a rotisserie chicken yesterday. It was supposed to be lemon pepper. It was bland, nothing. The skin was good on it, I guess. But so I took a bunch of Slap Ya Mama and just doused that thing in it and rubbed it all over, and it was pretty daggum good at that point. Chef Ross, we'll do best and worst of the weekend a little bit different. Now we'll save that for the final segment of the afternoon. Steve Barnes is going to be joining us here in about 5 minutes to talk the best and worst of the weekend, SEC softball, SEC baseball, and then I got a little question about Michael Jordan. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Michael Jordan is pretty big news. He's going to be joining NBC as a special contributor. So I'm going to ask him, what's a bigger deal to you specifically, Steve? Is it MJ joining NBC as a special contributor or ESPN retaining Chris Berman through 2029? Man, love Chris Berman. Does such a great job.
How much airtime does he get these days?
It's really just the kind of that during the NFL season and mainly it's 2-minute blitz when they're showing it on TV, but if you have ESPN Plus, you get the whole hour-long edition of it. So great stuff there. All right. Call-in question. I need you guys to start answering this for me because I think this is important to me, but it's also important to the people of Bay County. I'll be giving my answers coming up at 5:40. But from you guys, if you had to build a local Mount Rushmore of Panama City athletes, I don't care what sport it is they play, but just they played a sport here in Panama City. If you had to build a local Mount Rushmore of Panama City athletes, who's on it? 850-215-6299. 690. And we'll get to trivia tomorrow. I'll just have to discard that for today because Steve Barnes coming up next. Then we're going to be diving right on into the PCB Hobby Takeover. We'll wrap it up with the call-in question of the day, a little bit more stuff from local, and then I have some player prop bets from the NBA and NHL playoffs and also some from some MLB games today. As this is your home for the Atlanta Braves. Coverage starts tonight after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock. Braves and Nationals 4-game series. First pitch at 6:15. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Steve Barnes is next.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
The Atlanta Braves are cooking.
Riley in, Olsen in. Here comes Fairchild. He's in as well. Tie game.
Tonight, the Braves return to Truist Park to face the Washington Nationals. Coverage coming up at 6. First pitch at 6:15. Listen in a rich audio experience on your spot for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, sunny and a temperature of 77 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the southwest. A mixture of very light rain and mostly clear skies tonight, a gentle breeze and warm near 72. Mostly sunny and lightly sprinkling and 78 tomorrow. 81 and sunshine with a gentle breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, where the locals go for the best boiled seafood around. Crawfish, shrimp, red royals, and everything crab. Almost on their huge outdoor jumbotron. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on weekly events, live music, and food and beer specials. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, your home away from home for sports, good times, and great food. The best boiled seafood. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, 320 West 5th Street, downtown Panama City.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Get the edge on the competition with the latest lines, expert picks, and everything you need to place your bets. Elevate your game day experience with ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You can like and share that Facebook feed for me. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the app and register. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Chef Ross Robinson and James Fife. We are the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida, brought to you locally by Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing. Coverage starts for the Braves tonight at 6 o'clock for a first pitch time of 6:15. Don't miss that game on 104.3 and 101.9 ESPN Northwest Florida. Call-in question of the day. If you had to build a local Mount Rushmore of Panama City athletes, who's on it? You can text or call that answer in to 850-215-6290. More on that at 5:40. Now welcoming into the booth with us on the phone line is Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. Hey, Steve, how are you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Oh, can't complain. A little word of advice for Brian out there in Vegas. Don't buy the $10 Oakleys sold by the vendor outside the Bellagio. They will fall apart before you get them back home.
Yeah, it seems like you've got some experience with that.
Little bit.
A little bit, man.
Also on the Strip that day, I never thought I'd see this in my life. A guy who was homeless stopped me and said, "Hey, you happen to have $1?" Said, "All I have is a card." Guy pulled out a credit card reader.
Oh, no.
This doesn't seem legit to me, okay?
He was a pro. I seen two people who were homeless, and they were talking about, what do you call panhandling when you're doing that? And they were like, this is the hardest job in America. And she was like, I mean, I'd rather be doing construction than this, just having to sit out here in the sun all day. It's like, oh, okay.
I don't know if I would panhandle with a square because that's traceable. That's no longer tax-free income.
Yeah, that's taxable income. Welcome to the club, buddy boy.
Other thing, I heard your question about the Mount Rushmore in Panama City.
Yeah.
Only person I could think of,
Hall
of Famer Don Sutton. Hall of Famer Don Sutton played at Gulf Coast for a year.
Yeah.
Would he be eligible?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of gauging it more towards high school athletes, but I haven't gotten a lot. I thought that this was going to be a question that people responded to instantaneously. Just being, I don't even care if you give me guys who made it to the league or whatever. Just give me who you thought, like when you're sitting out there watching ball games, who did you think were some of the best athletes? But it hasn't gotten a ton of response. So since you spent a lot of time over there in Pensacola, and that's not too far from our neck of the woods, I should have given you a heads up, but I'm sure you can rattle some names off. Who's the Mount Rushmore of Pensacola athletes, Steve?
Well, you got to put the 3 Hall of Famers up there. That'd be Don Sutton in baseball, Emmett Smith, and Derek Brooks in football. The 4th one, I've got a list of about 30 names, but I'd probably have to go with Roy Jones Jr., the boxer. He held titles in 3 different weight classes in boxing. And let's face it, he got hosed at the '88 Summer Games in Seoul. He just got absolutely hosed. I knew his mom pretty well, and I worked with her. And she just told me one night or one afternoon, Roy was beating the South Korean so badly in his home country, he thought, I'm just going to lay off him this round. And when he laid off him, the judges went for the other guy, and Roy got the silver. And his mom loved Carol to death. Roy should have knocked his head off.
Yeah. That's one of those things, man, in the fight game especially. You take a round off, and you can get penalized very heavily for that. And sometimes having that kind soul is not, mama talking to you in the ring may not be the best thing. But, hey, it all worked out for Roy Jones Jr., in my opinion, right?
Well, except for that tax thing.
Yeah.
But, in the ring, it worked out well.
There you go. Give us your best and worst of the weekend, Steve.
All right, I have 2 best, one on the field, one off. I'm sure you know what the best is on the field.
Ooh.
Tim Elko, the captain of the Ole Miss baseball team, got called up to the Chicago White Sox Saturday, went 0 for 3 Saturday. He was 0 for 2 Sunday. And I said to my roommate, we're watching games, like, I think I'm jinxing him. I'm just going to go take a nap. And 15 minutes later, she knocked on my door, said, he hit a home run. He hit his major league first hit was a 3-run homer, and the White Sox beat the Marlins 4-2. And the cool thing about it, his family was there, including his parents, and he hit it on Mother's Day with a pink bat. And he told I believe it was Chicago Trib after the game, like, I gave the bat and ball to my mom for Mother's Day. That it's not worth any money, but that really helped me in the wallet. Well, kid, I think your wallet's going to be safe for a while. And that gift was priceless, man.
Wow, yeah, that is.
Now, the other cool thing is, in 2022, as he was leading Ole Miss to the national championship, a guy named, Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah.
Won the Cy Young Award for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, Elko hit his home run off of Sandy Alcantara. first White Sox player to ever hit his first home run off a Cy Young winner.
How about that?
The amazing crap I can think of. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot of years of White Sox playing baseball.
Yeah.
Yes. The other best, got to stay with Ole Miss. It's quarterback Austin Simmons. This is off the field. He graduated this weekend. And people say, well, they got the COVID year, they got the redshirt year. I mean, you can't graduate in 6 or 7 years, you shouldn't graduate. Kid did it in 2.
Wow.
The other thing is he graduated from high school in 2 years. He's got a bachelor's degree, and he just turned 19 years old. When I was 19, I was at Ole Miss, and I was trying to figure out what I must change my major to. Now he's got to figure out which master's program to go in. He's going to be a redshirt junior. He theoretically could go to law school for free at Ole Miss, but he's not going to do that because he'll get drafted in the next couple of years. But his degree's in finance, and if you've ever taken econ class, you know that this is not basket weaving. It's not easy. But he's got that degree, so I'm pretty sure he's probably going to get an MBA this year and probably an advanced finance degree. So if he never even plays in the NFL, he's going to have 2 master's degrees and a bachelor's degree and still not be able to buy a beer legally.
I mean, he's almost got, what was it, back in the day, Staples had the easy button. He's got like the fast forward button, like 2 years of high school, 2 years of college, and all of the success that he's had surrounding that while still chasing his dream of football. Very impressive stuff. I'm sure Lane Kiffin's got to be excited about that, huh, Steve?
Well, I just looked at it and just thought, hey, man, overachieve much?
Yeah. No doubt. Did you already give us your worst?
Worst, I got 2 of those.
Oh.
One of them, well, Ole Miss dropped 2 out of 3 in Starkville to, what's that team?
The Cal Tippers? Mississippi State.
Yeah. So they lost 2 out of 3 in Stark Vegas, but it was a bad weekend for umpires. The Friday game, well, they played a doubleheader on Friday, and I think it was in the 4th inning, top of the 4th. And the Missouri State catcher stands up all of a sudden. He turns around. He's talking to the umpire, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Next thing you know, he's waving, and the trainer comes out, and they give the umpire a sip of water, and the trainer just shook his head no, said, come on. And they took the umpire off. I don't know what kind of medical emergency it was, but it was a doubleheader, and they played another game Saturday. So the SEC sent 5 umpires. So they got to replace him, still have a complement of 4. Then on Saturday, a kid from State has just a Tony Gwynn shot between third and short. But Luke Chang, the Ole Miss shortstop, made a great backhand play, threw across the diamond off balance and got the guy, but his momentum took him across the baseline. He ran into the third base umpire. They both went down. It was just not a good time to be an umpire in Starkville. You're going to get, better wear pads, guys. And the other one was Saturday night at 10 o'clock. I got to tune into local news. I just want to see what the weather was going to be for Mother's Day. Tuned in at 10 o'clock. There was 4 minutes and 58 seconds left in the NBA game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, well, go do something. Come back in 10 minutes. Came back. Actually, about 15 minutes later, there was still 1 minute and 3 seconds left in this game. People talk about speeding up baseball. Why don't you speed up basketball a little bit? You got a pitch clock now? How about a free throw clock? You got 2 shots? Boom. You got 15 seconds to get them both off or you forfeit them.
Well, they need a clock on reviews. There was a long one in the Dallas Stars Winnipeg Jets game, I believe it was. I believe there was a really lengthy review in that game.
Was that the goal off the skate?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So NHL isn't as bad, but with the NBA, it's the review clocks. It's all of the reviews. The challenges, I mean, and they're wondering why people tune out. I mean, daggum, a foul happens or a timeout, and I'm sitting there for 4 minutes waiting on the game to come back. And it's just, there's enough stoppages during the game. Like, let's get NASCAR-wise on them and have the split screen or something like that. Once I'm out of a game for 4 minutes in the NBA and it's not crunch time, I'm losing interest. It wanes. And these have been, I will say this, these have been some really good NBA playoffs to this point. Well, Steve, we've got the Women's College World Series ready to go. The bracket is all laid out. Will the SEC softball dominance continue?
You kind of like their chances. 10 teams are hosting their regional.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Florida, Arkansas, who else? Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and Kentucky. They're all going to host. Then Auburn, Kentucky State, and Ole Miss are all in regionals. So that's 14 teams out of 15 that are going. I kind of like your odds.
Yeah.
That, somebody's going to do well.
What did you think of Texas A&M and Oklahoma? They're getting, or what do you think of their chances being the top 2 seeds and especially splitting the championship there?
I didn't like them splitting the championship, but oh well, what you gonna do?
Yeah, what can you do about it, right?
Yeah, Mother Nature won that one. So you got to do something. I've been on those media committees at the Division II World Series. And it's like, okay, if this happens, what are we going to do? If this happens, what are we going to do? And you had to come up with contingencies. And finally, every time I'd always say, let's just pray this doesn't happen. Let them play ball.
Yeah, I was really surprised because I was actually getting ready to watch the game, and I was watching for the rain delay. They had Roll Tide War Eagle, the 30 for 30 or ESPN documentary that was on. So I was starting to get enthralled in that. I've seen it before, but I didn't pay close enough attention to it. So it caught my eye, and I'm sitting there watching that. And then they flip it back to softball. So I start, which I was wanting to watch softball, but I start going through the changes because they didn't have anything actually playing. They were just talking about what's going on in all of the tournaments and whatnot. And then by the time I changed it back, they say Texas A&M and OU are co-champions in the SEC. I'm like, that just irks me a little bit. Finish it up, man. Push it off till tomorrow if you have to. At the end of the day, if both teams are going to be 1 and 2, just say you're playing for the number 1 spot. I don't see what's so difficult about that, and play the game on Sunday.
In the national tournament, they did Steve, A&M 1 and Oklahoma 2.
Yeah. Texas A&M 1 and then Oklahoma 2. But had Oklahoma beaten Texas A&M, then don't you think that would have been reversed?
Oh, that would have flip-flopped. Yeah, that would have flip-flopped.
That's what I'm saying. So they could
have host.
Right, you're right. I guess that's what I'm getting at is we already know that, or they knew going into that game that those teams were going to be 1 and 2. It's just who won was going to be 1 and who lost was going to be 2. Push the game off till Sunday. We're here to play the game, right?
I'm not sure what the weather was on Sunday, though. Yeah, that's the problem.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Moving on here, what's one moment in your career that made you stop and say, this is why I do this? And you've told us quite a few stories on this show before, and I'm sure that you've said that to yourself multiple times. What stands out to you the most and made you stop and say, this is why I do this?
Well, when I was in sports information, I was working at the University of West Florida. It was between my stop at Troy and Albany State. So I was back home at school at UWF, and I knew the women's softball coach very, very well. And she went to the AD and said, can Steve be our SID just with softball? And I said, hey, that's fine with me. So I went on the road with them all year, and the last trip was down in Winter Haven. And it was a regional tournament, and a kid's parents came up from Fort Myers, and the kid, Jody Foy was her name. She said, "Hey, can you have breakfast with me and my mom and dad?" I said, "Yeah, okay, cool." So we're sitting in a booth in like a Denny's or something, and having our grand slam, nice little conversation. And we go to the ballpark. Get beat, so everybody's getting on the bus ready to go home, and her mother walked up and said, thank you for taking care of our daughter.
Wow.
She is so far from home. She has somebody that she knows she can count on. And I was like, yeah, because I was thinking about getting out of this and just going into private business. And I'm like, I can't give this up. There's no way I can give this up. And in writing, I was covering the Braves in Atlanta. And I was talking to my buddy, Derek Ladnier from high school, who at the time was the director of the minor league operations. I was in his office and got my back to the door, and Derek just waves and says, "Hey, come here a minute. Come here a minute." And I don't know what's going on. I turned around, and Hank Aaron's walking in.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay.
This is awesome.
And the other one was, I was covering Troy for the Montgomery Advertiser, and it was the day that they opened the new, back then it was Movie Gallery Stadium. Now it's just Veterans Memorial again. But that brand new press box, you've been in that, Dave, it's really nice. And I was walking in really early for the game and went in the first door, and I was going to turn right to go down to my seat in the front row of the press box. And the athletic director and the chancellor and the governor of the state of Alabama were standing there. And I thought, I think I'll go around. So I went around to the other door and came in so I wouldn't bother them. And the governor of Alabama, Bob Riley at the time, he walked up and says, are you the Steve from the Advertiser? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, I read you before I read anything about Auburn, Alabama, because you're a funny, SOB. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, we'll take that acronym. That'll work. We won't get fined for that one.
And I just said, man, real people read my stuff.
Yeah.
How
awesome
and I told all these kids that were the Rebel Walk, I tell them all the time, yeah, the best way to inform somebody in your story is to entertain them.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in something that's interesting, like the Elko fact about hitting it off of Alcantara, if they read that, they're going to want to read the next line and the next line. So you're going to give them the information that you want them to have, and they're not even going to realize they have it until it's done. If you're just giving them the stats, boring. Like the Saturday story with Elko hitting a home run. I think it's the Chicago Trib. They're the ones who had the quote about Mother's Day and giving the ball and bat, and it's good on the wallet, stuff like that. AP messed up and said Mike Elko hit the home run. And I thought, when did the Texas A&M football coach have time to go to Chicago and play baseball?
That is hilarious. I will say that when I'm reading your stuff, especially recapping the kind of the entirety of what went down on Saturday in the SEC, is you make me laugh a lot, and that just makes me want to keep on reading. And you do a great job with the way that you.
That's the trick to this business.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, and that's what you do.
You learn that on radio. You keep it interesting, and you make people giggle. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I like that guy. It's like, whoa, if you only knew. No, I'm just kidding. Steve, my man, we are up against the break. Real quick, though, are GMs the new shiny toy of college football? And do you think that they're actually going to make a difference?
They're a necessity now.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Lane Kiffin has time to try to deal with his roster, his assistant coaches, a little bit of NIL, and the transfer portal? There's no way you could do that, you know? It's not a shiny new toy. It's a shiny new necessity.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah, and toys are not necessarily a necessity, depending on your age.
Donald Trump.
Hey, Steve, take care, my friend, and we will chat with you next Monday, all right?
All right, love y'all like fried chicken.
All right, I love you like sweet tea, which is just as daggum good. Can't have fried chicken without sweet tea. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. That was Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. Coming up next, it's time for the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd Mueller.
Celebrating 2 years of broadcasting history.
Told you this would work.
It's the Best of Bay awarded Inside Drive on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weekdays 11 to 1 with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Covering the biggest stories, breaking news, the latest trades, and taking your calls. The Inside Drive is live and local middays from the Gulf Plus studios.
Happy anniversary.
Becky was on roids. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. A variety of light rain and mostly clear skies tonight with a gentle breeze around 10 miles per hour coming out of the south-southwest and temps near 71. Tomorrow morning we will have mostly sunshine and be warm at 78. Sunny in the afternoon and evening and high 79. Mostly sunshine Wednesday with a temp of 81. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our best wash, The Works, directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to new guests only. By participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
It's been an up and down start for the 2025 Atlanta Braves, which means every win counts more than ever.
Michael swings and hits one way up in the air, streaking out of the ballpark as the kid strikes again.
Tonight, the Braves are back in town, and Truist Park comes alive for an NLE showdown with the Washington Nationals, live from Atlanta.
Braves coverage begins at 6, first pitch 6:15. Your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Don't call it a podcast.
Frequency modulation is a big step forward in radio.
Broadcasting live from the world's most beautiful beaches. The Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Chef Ross Robinson, James Fife, and our guest from PCB Hobby, the owner. We've got Todd Mueller in the building with us, and this is the PCB Hobby Takeover. Todd, what's been going on?
Happy Monday, everybody.
Woo! It's been a while since I heard that.
I know. It's been a little bit. I wasn't here last Monday. I can't even tell you where I was. I was somewhere.
So is that your private jet in the parking lot out there?
It was. Yeah, it was. I was in Vegas. That's where I was on Monday. Anyways, came back, and it's been nuts. Been crazy, busy. Going and seeing collections, buying collections, doing deals, streaming, retail, you name it, we've been doing it. It's been awesome. So a lot of things going very well. We've hired 2 more new people, actually both streamers. However, one of the streamers is her name is Brittany, and she is going to be doing some time at the store and then some time streaming. So it's going to be kind of cool. She's in the TCGs, and then we hired another comic streamer. We are currently still looking for a coin streamer and, of course, several sports card streamers, which that has been hard to find, believe it or not.
Why is that?
Because
It seems
the
like
knowledge of sports cards is actually very interesting. You have to be really up on it. You have to know like who the newest players are, who the newest rookies are, what products are coming out, what's in the product, and then some of the older products, from a year ago or 2 years ago, things like that. So it's been very interesting. And then, of course, today, our main streamer, Josh, he got sick. He got sick at work, and so we had to send him home. But anyways, we're doing good. We got streams going right now. It's pretty awesome. We've got the comic stream with Logan right now. We got Devin on the coin stream, and we've got Cole on the TCG stream right now. So if you guys are wanting to check it out, go to eBay Live. PCB Hobby is our handle. PCB Hobby. Check us out. As far as the store goes, we got the normal setup going for this week. Last Saturday was trade day. Super Saturday. Super Saturday. But for the normal people out there who normally come as regulars, Thursday's Lorcana in One Piece again. Friday's Magic the Gathering. Friday Night Magic, and then of course Saturday is I believe we do some Pokemon and or Sunday. I'm not actually sure. But anyways, check us out on our socials. As always, we're PCB Hobby. And if anybody has any questions, call in email us, write us. Let's go. Let's do it.
Hey, and we'll also ask those questions for you right here live on the show. If you have a question for Todd pertaining to coins, sports cards, TCGs, comics, whatever it may be, text that in to us.
Airports.
Airports.
I can tell you a lot about the Denver airport, the Vegas airport, and I'm about to tell you about the New York airport.
Yeah, there you go, man. Wheeling and dealing, man on a mission, no doubt. Exemplary. Todd Mueller. Again, 850-215-6290 is the place for you to text those in right now, or again, across the board, social medias, eBay Live, whatever. PCB Hobby. Very simple. And if you haven't been to the shop yet, you're absolutely missing out. You ready for some questions?
Let's do it. Let's do some questions today.
Have you ever had a coin come in that made you say, whoa, this shouldn't be here?
Okay, well, I read that question earlier and I was like, okay, this shouldn't be here. So
it should be in my personal collection.
Yeah. So there's twofold to that. There's coins that just aren't out there, and I'm surprised they actually walk through the door at any given time. And then there's coins that like, I am surprised that it actually is still out there. It's usually rare gold. Yeah. Because, they went off the gold standard in 1933, and so they tried to melt a lot of it. So I think there's a lot of examples, low grade, high grade, doesn't even matter, that are very, very rare out there. And then, of course, there's shipwreck coins, too, which usually on a shipwreck, it was a group of coins that there's not very many until they find them in the shipwreck, and then they're all either saltwater damaged or restored or whatever.
Yeah.
So those are some of the examples of what I would consider, whoa, this shouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's, a great answer to that question. If someone gave you $20 to start a collection, and a lot of people who are starting their collection don't have the information and the knowledge to start off the right way, but if someone gave you $20, said forget about your personal collection, what would you buy first?
Okay, so this is what I always have told people over the years. And so this is an interesting one because this is, again, a two-part question. I've always told everybody, buy the best coin for the money.
Okay.
So what does that mean then? So here's the second part.
You have to go to the red book for that?
The second part, right.
Okay.
So you would want to go do some research. What I would recommend is getting the best grade of whatever coin that interests you the most for $20. That might be a seeded dime, let's say, from the 1850s, 1860s, 1870s. But you want to buy something that's in, VF or XF condition that's a $20 coin. Don't buy 10 coins for $2 because typically lower end coins don't really increase that high in value. They kind of always stay kind of low end. So always put your money towards. Now, if you said $100, I would probably say get some silver, some rare older silver.
Gotcha.
And I would buy, again, one coin that is more valuable than several smaller coins.
Okay.
So that would be my answer to that.
All right. We're talking with the owner of PCB Hobby, Todd Mueller, in the building with us. What's the tiniest or the heaviest coin that you've ever handled?
Awesome stories here.
Yes.
I got some good stories.
We love stories.
One's a little longer than the other, but we're going to talk about the heaviest. The heaviest is a kilo. So they make a kilo. It's like 32 point something ounces.
Okay.
All right.
It's pretty heavy for a coin,
Australia
right?
does that. They actually do kilo coins. Yes.
What metal do they use?
Silver.
Okay.
Silver. So they have a heavy 32 ounce kilo silver round coin.
Yeah.
And that is the heaviest coin I've ever held.
How big
Not
round
the heaviest
is it?
thing. It's about this big around.
So it looks like
about
a little
6 to
plate
7
or something?
inches, but it's thick.
Oh,
it's
my
usually about an inch thick. And it's heavy, and it's very cool. So that's the heaviest coin. Now, as far as the heaviest item, they make 1,000-ounce bars of silver. And I've actually held a 1,000-ounce bar of silver, and it is heavy. It's real heavy. Well, remember, there's 14.1 roughly ounces, U.S. ounces, in one troy pound. And so if you do 1,000 troy ounces and you calculate it out, it ends up being 1,000 divided by 14. So you can imagine it's 80, 100, 120 pounds. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
That's insane.
The smallest coin I've ever had, I've had one. I bought a collection one time. This was in Spanish Fort. I bought a collection of foreign coins. And believe it or not, there was a tiny, tiny, tiny little silver coin. It had a little mountain on the back of it. And it had a date. It's like 1815 or something like that. And I was like, you could barely read that. I mean, you could read it, but you could barely, tell. Anyways, and so I started looking at my book. And so I have this big, thick book of world coins, and they have one for each 100 years. So literally, the 1600 book, the 1700, the 1800, the 1900, and the 2000 book. Yes, there's that many books, and they're that thick. So I do some research online real quick. It says Guatemala is the mountain on the back. Okay, cool. So I open it up, go to Guatemala, it's a quarter real. So a real an 8 reals in a lot of the Spanish countries is basically the size of our dollar. Okay, so our silver dollar was equivalent to an 8 real. Okay, so but then they would cut those up. And they would cut it in quarters and then, or in half, and that'd be a 4 real.
All right.
They cut it in quarters, and that would be a 2 real. They cut it in eighths, that would be a 1 real. So 1 real was about the size of, let's call it between a quarter and about a nickel.
Okay.
Size of a nickel is a 1 real. Half real is the size of a dime. So think about a quarter real. It's like tiny, tiny, tiny. I mean,
like a button?
You're talking like a 1/4 inch around in diameter.
Wow.
So I find this coin, it's dated. I look at it under my loop. I find this coin. I go in the book. I flip it through the book, find Guatemala, find quarter reals, find the date, and it says, so it has date, and it has the different grades and how much it thinks it's worth. And if it's not worth anything in lower grades, it says just silver value. I get down to this one, and it says rare. That's all it says. It just says rare. It's like, no way. Am I looking at this right?
Yeah.
So I have a buddy in Mobile, and I saw him at a coin show, and I was like, hey, is this real? He's like, I don't think it's real. I mean, those are so rare, blah, blah, blah. And
yeah.
It's probably a fake, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to send it in. He said, okay. I mean, it's probably going to come back not real. I sent it in. Sure enough, it came back, and it was real.
Wow.
It was encapsulated, graded. It was like a VF or something like that, which is very fine, which is about mid-grade.
Okay.
And I sold that joker for $1,800. No joke.
Not bad for a
the
nickel.
tiniest coin I ever had. I sold for $1,800.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a good story.
Yeah.
So when I saw you asked that, I was like, yes, I got a good story for that one.
We love stories here, and I'm sure the listeners love hearing you talk about it, and they can hear your passion and excitement for all things in the hobby across the board, no doubt. Let's go to a comic one.
Sure.
How do you feel about comic book movies? Do they help or hurt PCB hobby?
Help big time. Here's a prime example. We have several movies that just are coming out or going to be coming out. Thunderbolts just came out.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts is a comic series. A lot of renewed interest in Thunderbolts, which is really great because, Thunderbolts 1 is not necessarily a hard issue to get. It was a 90s type thing, but it was it'll be very sought after now, and it'll probably go up in value. The best thing last year at San Diego, Robert Downey Jr. Came out on stage and proclaimed that he was the next Doctor Doom in the Doctor Doom movie coming out, which is amazing. That movie hasn't come out yet, but it is gone. His covers have gone. Anything Doctor Doom cover has been nuts. In fact, I just bought 20 slabs in Vegas of Doctor Doom #1, the Addy Granoff variant, and they're slabbed 9/8. And I just got 20 of them delivered today, and we sold one just like that on the stream, $135. They just like clockwork. This thing's going like wildfire.
Wow.
So to answer that question, absolutely, 100%. Put a movie out about a Marvel character, a DC character, any type of character, and the stuff just goes crazy.
I love it. Chef Ross?
So I was wondering, what was more fun, finding a rare coin or helping someone else discover what they have?
I usually don't help too many people discover what they have. And the reason why I say that is generally if somebody's in front of me, they're selling their collection.
Yeah.
And so it's not really a discovery phase.
And they already know.
They already pretty much know, and it's just a negotiation and thing like that. So so what was the question one more time?
What was more fun, finding a rare coin or just helping someone discover?
So I think it's more fun finding a rare coin.
Yeah.
And what I say about that is, like when I buy a collection, if somebody has a massive collection, you don't put your eyes on every single coin.
Right.
I mean, this doesn't work that way. It's a bag of silver or it's whatever. So to answer your question, I bought in Spanish Fort one time, old lady came in, had a huge bag of silver, all this stuff, some jewelry. I mean, anyway, so we made a deal. And I always went through everything. And I started going through it, and I found a 1916 Standing Liberty quarter, one of the rarest quarters ever produced, because they had the barber quarter, the last year of the barber quarter in 1916, and that was most of the year, and then they introduced the standing Liberty quarter. So there's two problems. One, they didn't make very many 1916 standing Liberty quarters because they went right into 1917. Okay. Number two, they had a high relief on the date. So almost every 1916 that actually is real, the date's already worn off. So you can't tell it's a 1916. There is some die patterns that you can use to tell that it's a 1916, but then you've got a poor one. I mean, you've got the lowest grade.
Yeah.
I found an actual VG, very good condition, 1916 standing Liberty quarter in that collection.
Ooh.
And I set it off and got it graded, and PCGS gave it genuine, which means it's real.
Right.
But they wouldn't give it a grade because PCGS wasn't doing that at that time. They were just saying whether it was authentic or not, right? And if it was authentic and they felt it was gradable, like, not a problem. So I cracked it out, sent it to NGC down at the fun show, and sure enough, they gave it a VG.
Wow.
And so I still own that quarter. I literally do.
I
still own that quarter.
I think that's the best part of the story.
So I love finding cool stuff.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome. And that also helps, too, with connecting with, as you just mentioned, most of the time, if you're with someone, you're more than likely buying their collection or negotiating for their collection. But it also, the passion for finding stuff is, in the world of hobbies, just everyone shares that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I love that.
And you can relate that to sports cards, comic books. I mean, anything, really.
That's like the hobbies are kind of, although you're collecting different things, there still are the same mutual feelings
about it, right? It's because I bought comic book collections and I'm like, no way that had that in it. Or I bought, sports card collection, like, sweet, it has one of these, and it's nice grade, let's send it off. We had bought a collection one time, and Brian actually bought it over the counter, and of course I didn't see it, but it was neat because it was a Nolan Ryan, I think, rookie card, I want to say, or second year. Might have been a 69. Anyways, we sent it off and got like an 8 on it, and it made it a monster card. And so that's kind of fun too. Is sometimes taking something that you got through a collection and then sending it off and getting it graded, and then being surprised when it comes back high grade, and you're like, no way.
Yeah, I mean, even with yourself, and you're a professional in this business, been doing it for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
What of the 4 hobbies, what's the hardest thing to gauge what you think the grade will be when you send it off?
Probably a coin.
That's the hardest. What about sports cards? Because
sports cards are not that easy, but they're not that hard. And the reason why is if you see enough of them graded, it's pretty easy. Comic books about the same type of thing as a sports card. You can really relate the TCGs, the comic books, and the sports cards. Now, it depends on what you're sending in. So remember, there's a lot of different sizes of comic books, a lot of different materials of comic books, and things like that. There is some difference in sports cards, but TCGs. A Pokemon card's a Pokemon card. A Magic card's a Magic. They're kind of like, that's probably the easiest one to grade. You can see the whiting on the edges. Yay or nay. How many whites are there? How many, cuts are there? Bends, ripples, whatever. It's pretty simple in that aspect. I would say that's probably the easiest. Next would be sports cards. Comics are much harder, and coins are super difficult because
almost impossible.
They are a lot of times because you don't know what the grader's going to say that day. You just don't know. They may not like the sheen on it, the patina, the way that it looks, a ding on the corner or on the edge. There's so many factors
within the grading company. Do different graders grade differently?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So like Tom will grade different.
A lot of times they have sections or areas that they stick in, like a foreign coin specialist versus an early American coin specialist versus a modern coin specialist, and so they have different people that the stuff go to.
So if I had a card that I sent out to get graded and felt it should have been a higher grader,
you can resubmit. Yeah, for sure. But if it's a vintage card, it might go to their vintage team. And if it's the vintage team, there may only be 1 or 2 graders on the vintage team. If that's the case, you may not get any different grade than you want. And from what I understand, everything's reviewed by 2 people. So from what I understand, in every grading service and process, everything is reviewed by 2 people, which means one guy's opinion goes to the next guy, and the next guy weighs in as well. So my point is that you're probably never going to get it changed or that often without alteration of the product. Now, in comic books, it is quite all right to clean and press a comic book. And that's an actual service that you can get. It's quite all right. You're not supposed to clean sports cards. You are not. That is taboo. You definitely aren't supposed to clean coins. Again, taboo. Yes.
So how would you even clean a sports card?
Well, wiping it down. using some sort of solvent or solution to get off a spot or something like that, like especially on a shiny one. Things like you're not supposed to do any of that.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's
I
people
did
in the
not
industry
know
that do that. There's people in the industry that have been busted for it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think that would be like the smart
you
thing to
would
do.
Think
like
restoring a collectible, why wouldn't you allow that?
Yeah.
You would think the same thing with a coin. Restoring a coin, just give me a grade of what it should grade, not what your opinion of whether it's been cleaned or not.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not old school when it comes to that. I'm very much, think the industry should change a little bit when it comes to grading coins, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. And then last but not least, since we talked about starting a collection in the world of coins, what about in the world of comics? If someone's just getting into comics, where would you recommend that they start?
The earliest Amazing Spider-Man they could buy for $20.
There you go. It doesn't even have to be $20. Just
I'm just saying, if you want to use the $20 rule, the earliest Spider-Man. So let's say a 20-cent issue 112, which is not a key issue. However, the best grade you can get for $20.
Yeah. There you go.
The oldest Amazing Spider-Man. That's what I would recommend because it's so highly known in the industry.
Right.
So easily movable. Everybody needs the early ASMs, wants to collect ASM, and so why not? Why not buy the best a copy you can buy for $20, $30, $40, whatever your budget is, in the oldest, of the run.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
I have a random question. With Michael Jordan joining the NBC team to broadcast or help out with the broadcast, does that do anything towards his collections or cards?
Not at all.
So just don't do anything stupid, MJ.
That's the one thing, number one. But number two, he was so implanted in everybody's mind. You can't go anywhere and say MJ, Michael Jordan, Nike Air, anything like that, and not think of Jordan. I mean, Jordan's everywhere. I mean, he prolificates the whole scene all the time, forever.
Yeah,
and the bowls. I mean, nobody doesn't not, and so just being TV. I don't think that's
anybody else who would move them up, like Charles Barkley, being on TNT and doing such a great job, moved him up.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that helped either. A lot of people knew Charles Barkley, though, too.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
Absolutely. I mean, the best athlete.
He was mean, too. I saw him play when I was a kid against the Portland Trailblazers. Him and Jerome Kersey got into it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They had a fight. It was the best thing ever. As a kid, 9, 10, 12 years old, however old I was, it was so fantastic.
That's great stuff. Great having you back on with us for another edition of the PCB Hobby Takeover. Anything you want to leave the people
No,
with?
I should be good to go next Monday, so I should be back. I'll let you guys know how New York went. I'm going up there tomorrow. And that'll be fun. Excited about that trip. And then there's going to be a bunch of us going. Myself and Chris, the comic book guy, is going as well.
Big turn.
And one of our new employees that just came on is coming, and then Sharon's going to come too. So
that's awesome, man.
4 of us.
Great stuff. Thanks so much for dropping by. I know you're a busy man, but we appreciate you giving us the latest and greatest things happening there from PCB Hobby. I'll get over there and check them out. They're right next door to Florida Linens over there on Back Beach. It is a great shop, and they've got everything that you need to keep on hobbying. Todd, have a great Monday, and we'll see you next Monday. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, final segment of the afternoon when we get back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
The Atlanta Braves are cooking.
Riley in, Olsen in. Here comes Fairchild. He's in as well. Tie game.
Tonight, the Braves return to Truist Park to face the Washington Nationals. Coverage coming up at 6. First pitch at 6:15. Listen in a rich audio experience on your spot for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Memorial Day at the Sleep Center, you can save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Tempur-Pedic, made in the USA, and available at
the Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Introducing Water Clear Pools. the home of the 10-week pool guarantee. We guarantee custom pool completion from permit to your first swim in 10 weeks or less. Water Clear Pools is the premier pool builder for the Margaritaville development on Highway 79. Free quotes and custom pools anywhere Northwest Florida. Call now, 850-835-4177, or see our website, waterclearpool.com. Licensed and insured. License number CPC 1459723.
This Memorial Day at the Sleep Center, you can save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Tempur-Pedic, made in the USA, and available at
The Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. You want a big-time sports show? Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Live and local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can go to cbcconstruction.com or give them a call, 850-747-3815 for all your construction needs. Final segment 4. If you had to build a local Mount Rushmore Panama City athletes, who's on it? We'll dive into that in just a second. Atlanta Braves coming up after the Afternoon Underdogs, 6 o'clock. First pitch, 6:15, taking on the Nationals. And going for the Nats tonight, it is going to be Jake Irvin, 2-1, ERA of 3.94. He's got a whip of 1.15 and 33 strikeouts going up against our Grant Holmes, who's 2-3, ERA of 4.58, 1.25 whip, and 40 strikeouts. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida, sponsored locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control. The 4th annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue, all proceeds going to benefit hurricane relief efforts, and Chef Ross will be spearheading that. Dinner tickets are just $20. He's going to have the whole hog, so plenty of barbecue meats. There's going to be baked beans, mac and cheese, coleslaw, all the fixins, and some Texas toast. Pool tournament runs starts at 1 p.m., and that'll be $15. All of this in honor of Ron Pops Robinson. Saturday, June 14th from 12 to 6 p.m. It'll be at the Break Room, which is located at 2727 Joan Avenue. See what else we got here locally. We've got the Gulf Coast State Commodores. They ended up falling to the College of Central Florida. The Patriots won that one 5-4 in the Final Four of the FCSAA D1 Baseball Championship Series. And that will conclude their season with a record of 36-15. Baseball will be getting underway. High school baseball will be getting underway later on this week. We still have Arnold in the chase and South Walton as well. You got Port St. Joe and Chipley, I believe. Oh, no, Holmes County. Port St. Joe and Holmes County going to be taking on each other in the Rural Series. And then softball will be underway tomorrow evening. I believe we've got some good games, and we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow afternoon. All right, before we dive into you guys' best and worst of the weekend, real quick, want to dive into my Mount Rushmores. I did multiple because I do the show, so I kind of get to do whatever. Nah, I don't want to say whatever I want. I don't mean it like that, but sometimes I just can't whittle them down. I'm not no carpenter, you know. I can't get it down to
it's
just
true. You
one
do whatever
list.
you want. You're the host.
You know, not whatever I want, but I get to manipulate a list or two along the way. So I've got a statistical Mount Rushmore, a watching or playing against Mount Rushmore, and then an honorable mention of some of the youngins that are playing right now. One of them just got done playing. He's on my watching or experiencing list. But from the statistic perspective, I'm going to go with Alonzo Johnson, who passed away last year on February 1st, 2024. He played at Rutherford. Then he went to Florida. I believe he's in the Florida Hall of Fame, and also played for the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 years. So Alonzo Johnson, we had what Don Sutton mentioned earlier by Steve Barnes. That's a great one. I always forget about that one. It absolutely counts, but I'm going with Alonzo Johnson graduated from Rutherford, played at Florida, Philadelphia. Janoris Robinson, on the flip side of that, played at Bay High, then went to Florida State, was drafted by the Vikings, played for the Raiders, the Eagles, and I believe is now signed to Kansas City Chiefs, right?
It could be, yeah.
I believe it is the Kansas City Chiefs. So Janoris Robinson, I've reached out to him. We haven't heard back from him. Neither here nor there. I would have his face up there, especially even more so for me is after he made it to the league, getting drafted and all that stuff, what he does for this community, for the football players playing right now with camps and the Win Within camp and all of that stuff. J-Rob is a great dude. Then my next two are going to be baseball players. I'm going to go with David Herndon, which I was able to meet him at Beat Down at the Beach, I believe, one night when you were right there beside me, and pitched for a relief pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. Great stuff there. I mean, hey, listen, we got J.J. Bleday right now. Lucas Dunn is working his way up. You got R.J. Yeager, Hatcher. Man, there's so many names right now who are working their way up into Major League Baseball. But finally, on my Mount Rushmore, which is what this comes down to, I got to go with my guy, Jay Chapman. Thanks to James. I've got a signed baseball card by Jay Chapman. Love having the guy in here talking baseball with us. I got to make that happen again soon. And he's just a phenomenal human being. One of the first things, man, whenever I first met him again for the first time since I seen him at the Church of Christ up there off of Jinx Avenue a long time ago, was he's meeting me, and he didn't recognize me at all, and I know who I'm talking to at the point in time, and he's being all nice and everything like that, and just made me feel just as I hate to use that word important because we all put our pants on the same exact way, but he's just a genuine human being, and Jay Chapman absolutely on my statistical Mount Rushmore from watching or experiencing.
It's nice having athletes, especially that make it to the major leagues or the top level, that are still very humble enough to have a conversation with anybody and everybody.
I agree 1,000,000% with you there, Chef Ross. From watching or experiencing, y'all might as well have your best and worst ready because we're going to zip through that because we still got comments to read off here. From watching or experiencing, though, I'm going to go to Panama City Christian for two of these. I'm going to go with when I was a kid and my meemaw was either a substitute or a full-time teacher at Panama City Christian. There was a young man who wore the jersey number 1, Rasheen Woodfalk, also known as Rock. I'm sure some of y'all out there know exactly who I'm talking about, but Rasheen Woodfalk was my favorite player to watch when I was a kid, and I always remember my favorite number's always been 11, but I was for a moment there I was tempted to wear number 1. Also, honorable mention on this one's got to be Thomas Gaitis, who played great ball with Rasheen Woodfalk. Number 2, I played baseball with this fella. He's now a photographer. He served our country. He played college baseball, I believe. I can't remember where off the top of my head, but Tim Pollard, if any of you know Tim Pollard, first and foremost, great man. Just a great man, fast as lightning, and a heck of an athlete. Whatever sport he would have wanted to go play in, he would have played. Tim Pollard, if he's half as good at taking pictures as what he was at sports, go search Tim Pollard on Facebook and tell him David Hayes sent you. Number 3, and he could be higher on the list. I don't have these in any particular order, but a baseball player from Bay High who also played for Gulf Coast State College who ended up losing his life a good while back now at Lake Lanier in Atlanta. And he was actually, I don't think he was going to make it to the league. He probably could have. He played. He went to James Madison. He was working on becoming a baseball scout. He might have even been hired. But Patrick Hewsome out of Bay High, if I was putting up in Mount Rushmore, Patrick Hewsome would absolutely be up there. And then last but not least, just because I had the opportunity of calling the Mosley games, so I've seen all of the athletes here locally in action. There was not one who jumped off of the field more so than what Locavion Jackson did, who's now going to be playing at Mississippi State. So LoJack, for me, I know it's a little early to say something like this, but I think that this kid is going to be very well known. Even though he's more or less from Ocala, I would go with LoJack. Then honorable mention, I got to go with Cooper Moss, Eli Blair. They're both headed to Florida. And then Bree Clark and Kaylee Goodpaster. I think both of those honorable mention Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Absolutely. And Burt Reed has to be somewhere on here. I get it. I got to play baseball with a guy. He was a heck of an athlete. Really hope that his career with the Cleveland Browns would have worked out more, but it didn't. Neither here nor there. Hey, Shout out to him. I mean, we've got so many. Roman Quinn, which is, not necessarily Bay County, but Terrence Gore living here now. All kind of great athletes. Real quick, let me read off some of these other ones while I have time. So we might not be getting to your best and worst of the weekend. Christopher Multicante, go Canes for you, because you told me to give the Canes some love. So I'm going to give them some love. He's got Burt Reed, Blake Harden, Will Witherspoon, and Mason Bennett. Danny Griffin's got Will Witherspoon, Ray Wilson, Tombo Martin, and Janoris Robinson. Barrett Townsend's got Kaylee Goodpaster, Burt Reed, Will Witherspoon, and Shane Funk out of Arnold. Kyle Wright's got Will Witherspoon, Tombo Martin, Cleet Thomas, and spot 4 is tough. He says Janoris, Javian Elliott, Burt Reed, J.J. Blade. Would he count? J.J. Blade would absolutely count. Keith Fleming's got Jay Henley, and Ryan Mulvey's got Jay Chapman there. And then over to Lynn Haven Rob, he's got Patrick Miller, John Little Football Mosley, class of 82, Cullen Hartzog, Bay High, Tombo Martin out of Bay High. You've got Ethan Hewitt never mind there. I can't pull that one up. G. McGuire, Burt Reed, Mac Pittman, and the Arnold athletes for Daniel. And Mike McMullen's going to go with Shane McKelsey, Arnold swimmer, 6-time state champion, 2-time All-American, won by Florida 2A swimmer of the year. Hey, Jesus loves you, so do I. I'm out of time. I'll see you tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
The Atlanta Braves are cooking.
Riley in, Olsen in. Here comes Fairchild. He's in as well. Tie game.
Tonight, the Braves return